let's talk a little bit about nutrition. Let me grab my markers. Wasn't ready yet. Okay, that should be enough. So, when we talk about wellness, and fitness in general, there is a pyramid. It's a great pyramid. At the base of the pyramid, from CrossFit standard, is nutrition. Then is going to be cardiovascular endurance. After that, gymnastics. After that, weightlifting. And at the end of it is sport. All right? Technically, there's been an addendum that recovery, so sleep, massage, all that stuff, is really the base of your pyramid. That's a conversation for another day, because I can guarantee you that's a conversation we probably should be having. So we're going to focus on nutrition. You're not going to be able to compete, perform, do anything here. And sport is relative, right? It could be competing at the highest level. It can also be competing here within the gym against yourself, maybe doing local competitions, challenging yourself to a new movement or skill, or just getting better at life, right? And in order to get this, we need to have a strong foundation here. If this does not exist, this suffers, then this suffers. It all kind of segues into each other, and it's really important that you guys understand that you are not going to outwork bad nutrition, or poor nutrition, I would rather say. You're not going to outwork poor nutrition. Yes, you may see the games athletes eating pizza and gummy bears, but that's not normal. Normally, they're eating fairly clean, and when they're performing at a high level, competing, doing 5, 6, 7 workouts across a weekend, then they need to make up that surplus in calories lost. So that's why they eat that way. But 99% of the time, they ain't eating that way. So what does CrossFit support for nutrition? It's called the Zone Diet. It's by Dr. Barry Sears. And it is a proponent of 40% carbs, 30% fat, 30% protein. And this is, as your baseline. Jesus Christ. I can't tell you how many people are like, oh, is that a diet? That should be your baseline. That should be where you live every day. Okay, when we start getting into high performance, we start manipulating some of these variables, but on a day-to-day basis, your caloric intake should be 40% carbohydrates from healthy sources, not bread, not pasta, but fruits, vegetables, things like that. 30% fat from healthy sources, nuts, seeds, things like that, and 30% protein. Okay, protein shakes are great, they're not gonna solve your problem. I will be honest with you, I might drink one protein shake every 4 weeks. I really try not to get my protein or my vitamins or my minerals from anything other than food, okay? I put collagen in my coffee, but it's only because it tastes good. And it's 15 grams, so that's really negligible. But you won't see me slurping down a Fairlife most of the time, unless I'm really, really hungry and I keep an emergency one. Why is that? We want nutrients that are bioreadily available. Case in point, vitamin B12. Most people, well, a lot of people walk around deficient in B12. They'll drink supplements with it, they'll take injections of B12, but it's not bioreadily available, which means that outside sources are not designed to help us digest it and process it the way that we should. The best way to get B12, eating leafy greens and vegetables. You don't have to go out and buy a crazy multivitamin. You don't have to do all this crazy stuff to get the vitamins and nutrients that you need if you're eating a balanced diet. If you are eating a balanced diet and you're still concerned that you're not getting the vitamins and nutrients that you need, we have a connection with Reboot, which they'll make a vitamin specifically made for what you're deficient in. They test your hair follicle. But everything else, you're just gonna pee out, okay? From this baseline, right, how do we calculate your caloric needs? It's complicated. We have a scale that will tell you what your basal metabolic rate is, so BMR, how many calories you burn at rest. So this is your bare minimum. You should be over this in order to function. This would be as if you laid in bed all day for a week, or all day for literally ever, and didn't burn any calories, right? Anything below that is going to cause weight loss, but it can also, for prolonged periods of time, affect your muscle mass. Your TDEE, total daily energy expenditure, factors in your activity level. So this is like your daily intake. Now we have a nutrition program, and again, this isn't like to really talk about that, but we get you on zone, we give you meal plans, we talk about that stuff. But as like Emily knows, and as Kirsten knows, as you guys lose weight, your caloric needs and your percentages differ a little bit. So when it comes to like nutrition, goal 1 should be to try to get your ratio here. You can calculate your total daily energy expenditure by using a calculator online or coming and seeing us. We have a fancy scale in the back. It's $10 to get scanned. We can tell you kind of whereabouts you need to be. But when it comes to picking food items, they need to be whole foods. So minimally processed. Is where we need to start. Once you have established a good nutrition protocol with these ratios, you feel good, you look good, you're fueling yourself, you're eating 3 meals and 2 snacks a day, then we start manipulating some of the different variables, such as carb cycling, increasing our protein intake, things like that. But we can't run before we walk, right? And if you guys are already like, oh, I just took a protein shake and I had all this creatine, but you go home and have pizza, you're wasting your money. And it's not fair, right? My goal here is to like, obviously provide you guys with resources, but also to make sure that you guys are making informed decisions. Another thing, minimally processed, protein bars are a scam. So this is a conversation I had a couple weeks ago. Food quality and quantity. So a perfect bar are most protein bars. The one I looked at was 15 to 20 grams of protein, and it was 330 calories for like this little teeny bit. It was also 25% of your daily saturated fat in one freaking bar, okay?
Probably a lot of sugar.
It wasn't a lot of sugar. It was decent on the carbohydrate. It was just the total number of fats. A lot of these pre-processed protein shakes, protein bars, blah, 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 shakes aren't as bad as bars. They're scams. So what I told this client is you could have eaten 1 egg is 7 grams of protein. She could have eaten 3 of those, and that would have been 21 grams of protein at their 70 calories, so 140 calories. And what's more filling? 3 eggs? Mm-hmm. And she still had room to add some fruit, some vegetables, things like that. So get away from the box stuff. All right, that was kind of my big spiel for today. Get away from the processed stuff with a label. Grab the things that are natural and healthy. I have a post saved on this that I'll show you guys. So one of the hardest things as someone in the fitness space is seeing somebody try really, really hard to do the right thing, make the right choices, and they deprive themselves of the things that they enjoy in favor of something like the perfect bar, when in fact it probably would have been better for them to just enjoy what they wanted. Because think about it, a Snickers bar I think is 215 calories, so they could have had 3 eggs plus that Snickers bar. And that's way more food than that one incy-bincy little tiny protein bar. All right, in cases of emergency, if you're competing, if you have nothing else available, it's better than a lot of other options. But if you're like, you know, I really want a Snickers bar, but I'm gonna have a protein bar instead, think twice, make an informed decision, right? Because 3 eggs and a Snickers bar is way more filling than that little bad boy, and from a caloric standpoint, and I think a regular Snickers bar also has like 6 to 8 grams of protein. So even just from like a pure protein standpoint, you're better off doing this, and it's cheaper. Those bars are $3 a piece. Bananas. So, like I said, most of the stuff that we see in the industry is a scam, and that's the hardest part and what I hope that you guys take away from this today is, number 1, that you can't outwork poor nutrition. Number 2, that you have to make informed choices when it comes to food. Otherwise, you're going to be basically depriving yourself of the things that you want but really for nothing. Let me pull this up. Okay, so this is a presenter, and I'll turn this so you guys can see it. Hopefully I don't break anything in the process.
Did something come on?
No, it's just a cable. Alright. Cast. This should work. And if it does, what?
Watch your sunglasses on the back.
Thank you.
No cable connected. Something.
Yeah.
One cable.
HDMI cable.
Yeah, that
yeah,
guy.
Yeah.
One of my guys is off. Thank you.
Oh, wait,
What is this plugged into? Or stuck around? Okay, that makes sense. Perfect.
Okay.
This, as you can see, we're very professional here. Do you guys have any questions so far?
The only thing that I think is hard is that 30% fat.
It's not bad.
No?
Like in terms of staying below it?
Oh, getting 30%
So
fat.
most,
Like I'm usually more protein than fat.
yeah, so like most proteins inherently have a certain amount of fat. And a lot of times people forget to include the fat that they cook their foods in. So if you use a little bit of butter, things like that. We try to stay away from seed oils at my house. So we cook most things in butter if we cook at all, and that's how we make up the fat. Now for athletes who are trying to increase their calorie intake, so like right now I'm kind of getting ready for grid and I'm trying to recover a little bit better than I normally would be, I will increase my fat intake. So what we do, like Jeff Adler follows Zone. He won the games last year, and what he does is he triples his fats so that he doesn't go into a calorie deficit. So eventually, Emily, that's going to be you. You're going to start increasing your fat intake so that you have the caloric density that you need, but that it's not going to put on extra weight like carbohydrates would. Yeah. But no, most people it's going to be like a 60%. Oh, come on, this thing's not wanting to work. Let's try this again. Most people, they just do not eat the right amount of carbohydrates. There's an excess in carbohydrates and a lack of protein. That's usually that, or there is a imbalance in the timing of their meals. So they'll not eat breakfast, come in and work out, then they feel like crap. They don't really eat a big lunch because they don't feel good, and then dinner is all starchy carbohydrates with very little protein. And so they come in and they're like, wow, I'm working out so hard, but I'm not losing any weight. And it's because A, they're putting their body through like an insulin like roller coaster essentially. And then B, they're not providing their body with enough protein to be able to synthesize the muscle that they're trying to build. So those are like usually my most common problems with my clients is that, and consistently doing that. The other big one is going to be, there we go. The other big one is the little snacks. So like they'll have like 2 Oreo cookies, which is 150 calories every single day. But like over the course of an entire week, they've eaten a surplus. Well, one of them, let's say it's 300 calories extra things throughout the day. That's 2,100 extra calories a week, trying to be good and just give themselves a little treat. When in fact, I would just rather them be clean all week and say, I want the slice of pizza on Friday. Like that's much better. It's better long-term because you're not depriving yourself as much. That's the big one that I see too. I'd rather you guys be super, super clean and then like once a week say, you know what, I'm going out with the girls, we're gonna have a nice dinner, we're gonna enjoy it. And you make a 1,000 calorie offset that's still better than 2,100 over the course of a week because you couldn't say no to a handful of cookies every day. That's the big one, the big snacking. I think we talked about that. All right, so now that I got this thing to work, I'm gonna scroll down. So E.C. Sinkowski is actually one of the presenters for the CrossFit Level 1 and 2. She has some really great free stuff on the journal, on CrossFit.com's journal. I'm looking for a very specific thing. There we go. Okay, so, and I'll share the link to this for those of you who are watching from our Patreon, but how easy it is to eat 3,000 calories when your diet is pretty good. Can everybody see the screen?
Yep.
All right, so, not large coffee with cream, no sugar, banana, bacon, egg, and cheese, 960 calories. Not the best, not horrible, better than nothing, right? Which is crazy when you think about, that's 3 of those perfect bars. Isn't that crazy? That's bananas.
Wow.
Yeah. Lunch looks like Chipotle. They didn't put cheese on it. They didn't put sour cream on it. No chips, no drink, just the burrito. So a lot of people think Chipotle is healthy. It's not. Sorry, Kirsten. She works there.
The burrito wraps are around 300 calories is a thing. So if you get that in a bowl,
Better.
it's a
bowl
lot
is
better,
key,
a
yeah.
lot better option.
Yeah. So again, you guys think you're eating clean, but you're not. Then
But a
dinner.
bowl is clean, right? The
Bowl is better, yeah. Bowl is definitely better. They cook in seed oils though.
Oh.
I'm a freak. About
yeah,
food.
It's rice bran oil and sunflower oil.
Dinner, not bad. This is a pretty dinner. We've got a nice serving of vegetables. You guys see how that's 2/3 of the plate of vegetables and 1/3 of the plate is protein? That's pretty much what we want to have, right? So when we look at a plate, we want to have 2 handfuls of veggies, a palmful of protein, right? And veggies being your primary source of carbohydrates at nighttime especially. They even had a glass of wine. How nice. Still, this 2 perfect bars worth. Crazy, right? This is the crazy part. So another glass of wine and 2 little cookies. Isn't that crazy? And then so imagine 3 nights a week, you do this little 500 calorie surplus. That's not really that satisfying, right? I'd rather have a slice of pizza if I were you. That would be my choice. And a slice of pizza would still be less than what this person is doing. And mind you, this person is trying to make good choices and they're still 3,000 calories in. Crazy, right? So how can we make better choices? She has another really great one in here. Number 1, again, looking at labels and informing yourself. We obviously don't want to create like some disordered eating, but we want to have some informed eating. And that's really the big one that we often forget about. We put things in our mouths without thinking about how they affect us calorically. Food is not just fuel, it's also how you connect, how you grieve, how you self-soothe. So it's important that you find a balance between eating for performance, but also eating for your well-being, physically and mentally. So, for example, this little thing, is it on there? Because I can't
The
see.
muffin,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. You have more calories in that muffin than you do in that whole plate of food. Crazy, right? So when you guys are going to make your choices, and because nutrition is such an important part of what we do here, you need to make sure that you're making informed ones. Whole foods are going to be ideal. Avoiding the protein bars, all those wacky doodle things. If it didn't exist in nature, you probably shouldn't be having it, right? And really just making choices that reflect what you want out of your lifestyle. There are days where I leave here and I had a really rough day and I say, you know what? I want some cheese curds from Culver's, and I enjoy the shit out of them. They're delicious, I have a great time, and they're 1,000 calories. That's fine. Like, I made that decision and I'm cool with that. But when I go home, if I have a whole bag of popcorn and a glass of wine every night, and I'm eating 3,000 extra calories across the week, that doesn't do the same for me, mentally. I would rather enjoy that, have it, be good. Last night I went out to dinner with Brandon. I'm not sitting there counting calories. I'm a normal human being. But the rest of my week is fairly clean.
But you know what you're eating. You're
Correct.
eating clean food.
Yes, I'm eating clean food, I'm making informed decisions, and if I want a pizza or a burger, I have a pizza or a burger. But I'm not sacrificing the entire week trying to be good, but ending up like that 3,000 calorie scenario because I'm not knowing what I'm putting in my body. Any questions so far? Yes. Oh,
Well, so, not to get into the weeds too much, but I've been reading lately.
Bless
You know
you.
Peter Attia?
yes, Peter Adia, yes.
Yeah, and then he's had on his podcast a protein expert.
Mhm.
Guy's done a lot of research. Anyway, the question is, protein quality. From what I understand, so the research more recently, the quality of protein
Correct.
matters.
Yes.
And the dose
Yes.
in order to trigger muscle protein synthesis.
Synthesis. Mhm.
Do you agree with that?
Yes. So I personally do not consume protein shakes, powdered protein, whey protein. I might once in a blue moon because I'm hungry, but most of our protein comes from wild animals. So like my fiance's a hunter. We eat a lot of venison. We pick our chickens. Like I said, if I'm gonna get into hunting, I am only gonna buy from humanely raised chickens. So like I'm really like weird about that. But I am a big believer that protein source and what the protein's being fed is really important. In terms of specifics, like I know that, for example, venison is more protein dense than most other protein sources. Shrimp is too, believe it or not. But quality is important. Quality is important, and also quantity. A lot of people overconsume protein. Your body will just end up excreting it anyways. So when someone's like, oh yeah, I had a protein shake with 60 grams of protein in it, Number one, when you consume a protein shake, it's in liquid form. Your body does not have to mechanically break down that protein. Therefore, it's not the same response with the body nor protein synthesis as it would be if you had 30 grams of chicken breast, because your body has to chemically and mechanically break that food down. So you're getting 60 grams in one shot, what's gonna happen? You're just gonna excrete the rest of it. Whereas when you consume something like a chicken breast or a piece of venison or whatever it is that you're consuming, it takes a couple hours for you to digest that thing. Does that help answer your question? Yeah, and you have to still have branched chain amino acids and essential amino acids to help with that protein synthesis. So if you're not eating a balanced diet, that's where we start running into problems as well. Any other questions for me on that? It's a lot. Nutrition's a lot. I could do like a 6-part series on nutrition. This is like just a scratching the surface type of situation. The other thing I wanted to talk about is hydration. So some of you may not know this. I was just listening to a podcast yesterday actually about this. CrossFit sued Gatorade many years ago and won. Like, it was like a whole thing. I think you probably know about this.
Yeah.
About hypernatremia. So when it comes to hydration, right, we want things with electrolytes, not with sugar. And that's something that like is really hard to get a grasp around. The podcast I was listening to had Greg Glassman, who was the founder of CrossFit, and he was talking about excess fluids, so overhydration without the sodium in there, and how there may be a link between that and TBIs. So like guys who had that brain injuries while playing football, being overhydrated actually can create an issue with that. Anyways, it's all conjecture, but it's something that they overhydration's a real thing.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you will see
Can't
more
you die
people.
from it?
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah,
people die from it
people die. from
all
it.
the time, and it's because there's a lot of misconception about what hydration is. So and I explain this, in passing to a lot of clients, but if you have the water faucet running and you just run your sponge under it without squeezing it, it's never gonna absorb water, right? So how do you get water into the sponge? You have to squeeze it and then the water soaks in. Well, what is the mechanism to allow the water to get into our cells? It's sodium. Sodium, potassium, magnesium, salts. What that does is the osmolality, I can't ever say these freaking words, pulls the water from outside the cell across the cell membrane and into the cell. If you guys don't have sodium, and again, you're just gonna excrete extra sodium 99% of the time. You're not gonna get that fluid into the cell. So if you're somebody who drinks water all day and you're like, damn, why do I keep peeing all the time? That's why. You're not squeezing the sponge to help the water absorb because there's a lack of sodium, potassium, and magnesium salts in your water. Sugar does create some osmolality and pull some of the fluid into the cell, but it's not as effective as salt, and the end result, excess carbohydrates. Most Gatorades have, like the medium-sized ones, are about 40 grams of sugar. That's a lot. It's a lot of sugar. So when it comes to hydration, ditch the Gatorade, I think primes aren't bad. They're pretty decent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
How
There's
many-
not really that one, just like coconut water.
Yeah,
and-
primes are pretty decent, but just read your labels. You guys should not be consuming an excess amount of carbohydrates in liquid form, because guess what? Again, it's going to instantly hit the bloodstream. It's really not going to create any benefit for you in the long run. All right, especially with Murph coming up, it's going to be really important that you guys stay hydrated. And that starts with Kirsten, if you want to show, which I need to talk to you about that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to put an order in through you.
Okay.
Yeah. So we will be carrying those. They are delicious. We have samples of Element. I think I gave your wife some the other day. Morning. Hi, guys. I think I gave Nicole some.
Yeah, we were drinking it yesterday.
It's salty.
Yeah, I like, whenever somebody comes along with something that sort of conflicts with existing
Yes,
evidence.
it's hard.
It's hard to, and I looked at the Element website, and unfortunately, there's not as much scientific evidence.
Yes.
Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is, this is just, the placebo effect is real.
Mm-hmm.
But I was drinking the Element yesterday, and I started off feeling like it was a little cooler in here than the last time I was working out. But anyway,
Okay.
long story short, I felt much better after the workout
Yeah.
drinking the Element, so
Yeah.
we'll
and,
see.
And it's hard, like, if you go onto the Element website, they have a couple of the things linked in there. So the founder, Rob Wolf, if you go onto his Instagram, he has a lot of information about electrolytes. And also if you go to CrossFit.com, they're not affiliated with Element whatsoever, but they talk about the importance of sodium, potassium, and magnesium salts in hydration. Peter Attia also has a book that I have, but it's an ebook and it's good and it talks about that, especially magnesium in terms of like mental health and mood and sleep. All of those things kind of tie in together. But yes, like it's very interesting. And if you guys haven't tried Element and would like to try it, come see me. I have tons of this stuff at home.
I will
So.
say, if you don't mind.
Yes.
that Steve has high blood pressure,
Uh-huh.
so he was always afraid to really drink the Element. His new cardiologist, when he asked him about it, she knew exactly what it was. And
Really?
She said, do not worry about it. It is not the same thing. You need what's in the Element.
That's
So now
awesome.
he's going back to drinking the Element.
Good, good, good. And if you guys need samples, come see me.
And I use a half a package.
Yeah.
It's things for me, food for me when it's really salty.
And it's
It's
different. And salt, it's regular salt is processed a lot differently
Yeah.
than this stuff
And
is.
so,
Mhm.
but it was still salty, but a half a package was
Yeah.
like, ooh, good salt. Like
And-
when you put salt on watermelon and you get
And
that
that's the
sweet
Yeah.
chocolate
salt.
one in my smoothies too. You can put half of one. I put the whole one.
Oh.
I don't mind it being salty, but I just do half, and it's you don't really notice it. As
Yeah.
much, but then you're still at least you're
Getting
just
that
getting
in.
it anyway,
Yeah.
so.
And if you don't like the flavor, there's tons of other ones.
Yeah.
But read the label. So like the liquid IV one's a scam also. It's like 14 grams of carbohydrates in one packet, which is bananas. Bananas. So there are other products. I think there's a few that Steve carries that are also very good that will help give you the hydration if you don't like the flavor of Element. But again, be an informed consumer. I love that you research your stuff. I love that Steve asked his cardiologist about it. Like, you are your biggest advocate, and that's what I hope you guys take out of this is number one, read your labels, be an informed consumer, right? Know what you're putting into your body and what it does, and make a decision based off of what your needs and goals are. And if you have questions, we're happy to answer them for you. As a level 3 certified trainer, we do get education in both nutrition, hydration, all that good stuff. We're going to continue to do these things, but they're going to be moved to after class, so it's a little bit easier. You guys can enjoy breakfast without fear of throwing up later. That was a great suggestion, so thank you.
Yeah, cool.
Are there any other questions for me? I know I kind of glossed over it, but
Thank you.
No, this is.
yeah. Is there a topic that you guys would like me to cover for next month? And it could,
Is it true that, having a cheat day, if you get right back to, let's say, a Sunday,
Mhm.
you have a cheat day, you have pizza, you have some ice cream, but you don't eat that way all during the week. Is it true if you dive right back into your normal routine Monday morning, your body doesn't, hold on to all that stuff because it's sort of like you're tricking, your body's not expecting
Right.
more of that?
yes and no. For some people, yes. What you can do to mitigate it is actually eat fermented foods. So kimchi, sauerkraut, fermented foods to help reset the gut microbiome. Where people kind of run into problems, and again, it depends on what your gut microbiome looks like, right? If like I were to do that, sometimes it depends on what I consume. And so sometimes I'll get like my stomach gets really upset. I'm sick for a couple days, sometimes not. And how I mitigate it is by supporting my gut microbiome through yogurt, fermented foods,
Oh, yeah, I
yogurt,
feel like
kimchi.
shit after doing it.
But if you do a fermented food, so kimchi, yogurt, something like that, you can even do kombucha, like I like kombucha, that will help at least mitigate some of the damage, if that helps.
It's scary how similar you're to Sabrina. It's like, oh my god.
What, you and I?
Yes.
Yeah,
You
that's
say
good.
kombucha. and
I'm
all
kind
that.
of like a freak.
Have you been to the one, have you gotten the one from Vitality Farms downtown? Oh my God, it's good.
Really?
Yes, it's very
Local?
good.
I
Local, they have a blueberry and a watermelon one. Oh, super good.
That would be a good subject for the next class.
Okay, gut
Fermented
microbiome.
food.
Yeah, I think you got microbiome. Any other suggestions? All right. So the next one, technically, Saturday the 1st, it's a freebie. I need to study for my red shirt thing. So we're going to be covering a movement for the red shirt thing. It'll be from 10 to 10:30. We're going to basically I'm going to be teaching you as if you were going to take your CrossFit Level 1 certification. So it's not going to be like a skill session where we're going to be like, let's talk about the muscle up. I'm basically going to pretend that you're somebody who just paid your $1,000 to CrossFit and you want to learn how to be a coach. Okay? So your help would be greatly appreciated. You'll still get a lot out of it, but it's going to not be a typical CrossFit and coffee. We'll do one of those a month and one CrossFit and coffee a month, okay? And if you have suggestions as like the week goes on or the month goes on, feel free to suggest them. I'm here for you guys.
Thank
You're welcome.
Really good.
And it's Darlene's last day. No!
No, I'm heading north.
She'll be back.
When are you back?
Probably mid-October,
Yeah,
depending
go
on
for it.
the
This is a
husband.
hot mess, but feel free.
You're coming back.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm just spending this